it dries faster like a watercolors, but it also give you the glaze medium of oil. Okay, so the acrylic paint, you know, when you paint with a water or a glazing medium to produce that watercolor effect, such as like washes, you know, on a when you're painting, you can also brush on like a acrylic paints, thick and thin, according to how would you like to, you know, make it appear on your painting. Okay, acrylic paint, it dries more, you know, insoluble, water resistant. It's like a flexible paint film. Okay, so because it dry faster, and it's actually made of the pigments that is suspended in acrylic, you know, it's like a emulsion, it's a polymer emulsion of like plasticizer, you know, kind of silicone oil effect. It gives you that. Okay, so, or you know, it can also bring out like a metal effect, silicone effect. It's a great medium, and plus if it's it dries faster also, not like oil paint. You know, paintings, they dry a lot, you know, it takes a lot longer. Okay, so because acrylic paints are water soluble, but it becomes water resistant when it dries, and it dries faster, guys. Okay, so make sure when you use this medium that you're not using all your fancy clothes, or you know, wherever you're using your medium, if it the color it spills, make sure that you clean it faster because it dry fast. Also make sure your water, I mean your brushes, are cleaned properly ASAP, because and otherwise it will dry into those bristles. Okay, so in comparison to oil and watercolor, the acrylic paint is relatively, it's like a new medium, right? It's a combination of water and oil, more for, you know, it's a medium for artistic expression. Okay, so as with watercolor and oil, acrylic has a unique collection of qualities and characteristics. And it's most notable of which, you know, it's very it's versatility, you know, it's a durability of that, this paint, of this medium, guys. So acrylic paint, actually, it's not relatively very new kind of paint. It was actually it was common in 1920s and in 1930s. Okay, so he actually, the Diego Rivera, he was an artist in 20s and 30s. He actually used it for you know, series of mural paintings, because of this paint's durability, of this medium's durability. Okay, so in comparison to oil and watercolor, it is relatively a new medium for artistic expression. Okay. But as with water and oil, it has a unique collection of these quality of these characteristics, excuse me. These are very notable, of which it's versatility, it's a durability, it dries faster, and it can bring the effects that artists want to bring it. Okay, so because the acrylic paint, it is so flexible, and it can apply to like number of materials, right? As we said, metals, wood, paper, canvas, you name it, it bring out that effect. Okay. And I now actually, for my paintings, since I paint fast, and I really don't have the time that painting to dry first, and in my classes, right, I have to finish the painting within that class range. I do use acrylic paint. Okay, so if you are just starting and you're beginner, canvas or wood are preferred. Okay, you can paint on canvas, you can paint on wood also. Okay, so you can also paint on paper. So you decide which will work best for you. Okay, because numerous abstract expressionists and other notable artists, like including Andy Warhol and David Hackney, they were very much exposed to acrylic paint by Diego. Like we covered that he used that in his murals, in 1920s and in 1930s. Okay, so they also start experimenting with this medium, and that is when they start experimenting, David Hackney and the Andy Warhol, they start in 1950s. Okay, and then for them that was a new medium. It became like very commercialized for its usage, and it's continued to grow exponentially since then, and it's very common now with it's bringing out new colors and on regular basis. Okay, so this is very, what you call, flexible and very adjusted color, that it can be used on acrylic paper, it can be used on heavyweight any paper. Okay, because since we use dilution material we use is a water, you don't want to use the thin paper for this. Okay, because the pigments are a lot thicker than the watercolors, right? It's so actually it's a little bit more expensive also, and if you want to preserve your artwork, right, you better use some heavy weight paper. Okay, so that is for acrylic paint. Okay, so if you use other form of paper, such as if you use watercolor paper, okay, as I said, it will show through or it will tear it down. Okay, so you must use a very thick paper to prevent the acrylic from bleeding through. the opposite side of your artwork. Okay, for buckling and wrapping the paper. Okay, so when you're buying art supplies, like, make sure if you want to use a paper material, make sure it is like a 300 lb paper. That's like very thick density paper, okay, or more, because the brightness and the vibrancy of the acrylic color will be reduced if you use soft paper, which you don't want that. Okay, so when buying art supplies, look for, as I said, more than 300 lb paper. Okay, so to preserve the vibrancy of the color of on your artwork. Okay, so let's talk now, what are that you need to understand more about what kind of strokes you need to use to bring out those effects in that painting or your artwork. Okay, so unlike oil painting, you only have a limited amount of time, guys, that the paint will be wet and it's responsive to your canvas. It's being responsive to on your canvas. Okay, so acrylic paint, it dries, as I said, very fast, guys. Okay, so you have to be careful with your clothes. That make sure when you're painting, just wear some apron or something, older clothes, because if it spill on your clothes, it will stay forever. It won't wash off, no matter how much you try to clean it. Okay, so you do not have much time to work when you're working with acrylic paint, because it dry fast, so it has to come at a faster pace, right? So the key here is to make sure that each of your stroke is made with the purpose, and that decision, it's decisive. Okay? You do not have as much flexibility as you do with oil painting, right? Oil painting is a little bit more forgiving, yeah, because the medium it is using. Okay, so each stroke must count for your when you working with your acrylic medium. So if you're still struggling that like a fast-paced drawing time of acrylic paint, then you may want to look into adding some other medium into your paint to slow the drying process. Okay, so in order to work with the acrylic painting, you have to it's like the mixing your color is so important, guys, than you think, because it brings out different effect than the watercolor. It brings out different effects than the oil paint. So you really have to watch some of my paintings. Go back, and on my channel I have tons of paintings, and I'm showing how working fast when I'm working with these acrylic paint, how it is bringing out the effect, of, you can see throughout the painting. Go back and watch those paintings, guys. Okay, and you will notice that they appear to, when we try to um, work with these paints, the time of mixing the color on the palette is, it's like actually painting. So because color mixing is one of the most defining aspect of the painting, okay, because you place brush to your canvas, be as certain as you can about that color. Okay, guys? So use your palette for mixing and experimenting with these colors. Okay? So not your canvas, use them on the, what do you call that? On your palette, sorry. Okay? Because unlike, oil paint, you do not have the time to play with your colors on your canvas. Okay, with the paint on the canvas, as because it dry extremely fast, guys. Keep in mind that. Okay, it dries very fast. All right, so these points you have to keep in mind. Okay, and acrylic paint, actually, it darkens also, guys. Okay, it has a tendency to dark when it dries, because it's a very common issue you'll find when you're working with the acrylic paint. Okay, because some colors will tend to be darkened as they dry. So when mixing your colors, you should allow for, slight darkening. Okay, when you're mixing the color, keep that in mind, that it's gonna darken what it's showing on your palette at this time. So this effect, it's more apparent to lighter colors than the colors which are, already darkened. Okay, so you have to use like quality material. In the beginning is okay, but later, once you know how you are working with the paint, you have to use quality material. Okay, so you may be, sometime, because as I said, these are a lot not, it's more expensive than watercolors. Okay, so if you investing in a high quality material, you'll end up, saving money over long run, right? As we know, with everything in life, right? So, but if it deteriorate, when it's a high quality, it won't deteriorate. Okay, and your finished artwork will be as much higher quality, right? It stays that way. So if you're looking, you're planning to sell your art, you make sure you use a good quality material. Okay, because it won't, when you use high quality material, it won't deteriorate your finished artwork, and it'll be much higher, art, artist quality. It will show through the artist quality. Okay, so if you're restricted with your budget, then I would invest, start with first top quality brushes also. That's very important. Okay, and then, anything is left over, I would use for art, quality paints later, once you are already experienced artist, right? So to save money on your paint, I would suggest that learn how to paint first with the very limited palette, like we've been covering, the basic colors, which is red, blue, yellow, white, and burnt umber. So the label to look for artist quality, not make sure that you look for a artist quality colors, not a student quality colors. Okay, but if you're restricted with your budget, then I would invest first, top quality paint brushes, then anything left over, start investing into your paint or your canvas. Okay. So these are the things you have, keep in mind. Okay. You also have to look after your painting material, your paint brushes, deteriorate very fast, as I said, because the paint dries so fast. Okay. And it just, I'm telling you, it just kills the brushes. It's the bristles get dry and the paint get dry so fast, even while you're painting. So make sure you keep your brushes, in the water, and clean it right away after you are done with those brushes. Okay. Another thing you have to keep in mind is that between sessions, you have to keep them clean, okay, and you have to keep them in the water, to make sure that they stay soft, they don't dry, because the paint get dry so fast. So now after you clean, we covered that, make sure that cleaning your brushes are very important. It's especially when you're painting regularly. Okay. And an alternative would be that place the tips of your brush in a, keep them in the water, laying as flat as possible without smudging them in whole brush. Okay. So you do not want your bristles to fold and dried, because when you're ready to paint again next time in few days, it's gonna be hard. And sometime clean them right away once you're done with with your painting, dry them, because sometime it takes time to dry these brushes, because the water is still in those brushes. Okay, so let's talk now about we already talked about choosing the brushes. Let's go into canvas. Okay, the canvas you have to it's sometimes it's much easier to paint on stained canvas than a glaring white canvas, right? Because the stain, it should be a very toned color. You do not want to stain too strong and too vibrant. Okay, in generally it take yellow or mixing with blue wash, something like that. You can stain the your canvas. It will help you judge the value and the tones of your painting. Okay, so it'll also be easier for you to paint dark values on the canvas when it's already stained. Can be very difficult if you paint with dark colors. Okay, so if you want to like save time, you can stain, earlier, a bunch of canvases earlier, you know before, okay, before you start. So let's also cover what kind of brushes next, since we covered the canvas, what kind of brushes you need to have starting with the acrylic paint. Okay, using like large brushes, it does a few things. Okay, it can increase your brushwork, your brushwork economy, and it can actually, the strokes you are trying to make on the painting, it's easier to cover, on the canvas. So many beginner artists, their opinion is smaller brush will lead to more realistic and delicate painting. However, even the great master realism, the painter, they generally painting with the brushes, with much larger brushes than you would expect, because of the coverage it take, right? So before, it's one of the few videos, I found, you can go back and see my landscape paintings, right? You would see how large some of them I use, large brushes, for most paintings. Okay, the brushes on for the acrylic paint and the paper, these are the most basic material, for the acrylic painting. Once you bought your acrylic paint and your canvas, your board, next move is to learn how to paint by mastering some techniques of applying paint. So combining colors and making painting, which it will go over, in depth with you. Okay, so acrylic wash. So when enough water is applied to acrylic paint, it could be handled similarly as watercolor. Okay, because to build the transparent washes on your surface of your painting, right, with watered down paint first. So acrylic paint, on the other hand, it doesn't fade as quickly as watercolor paint, guys. Keep in mind, okay? So when it comes to producing a range of texture in a single piece of your artwork, combining wash and dry brush techniques can be very, very helpful when you're painting. Okay, so let's talk about dry brush. Okay, dry, because by applying paint to the canvas or work surface with the dry brush and the paint that has not been dipped in water, right, you can produce a clean current of color on the paper. Okay, your lines can sometimes appear irregular due to the lack of water or smooth edges, right? To bring out the effectiveness of your paintings. Okay, so let's talk about brush. When you using a wet brush, to flick or splatter paint on your work surface to produce the irregular effect, of if you're painting a landscape, right? It's great for creating abstract landscape, starry nights, as well as adding texture to your artwork. Okay, that's with the little wet brush. Okay, but acrylic stippling, that's the color accent, can be dabbed onto the corner, that if you want to bring that kind of effect out from your landscape painting. can, you know, use a sponge, or you can use a paper towel or something like that. Okay, so consider it to be a like a masterful painting. You're dabbling, it will give a piece like a lot of texture and movement, because by dabbling with us, you know, if you're using a sponge or paper, texture and movement of the trees especially, right? Because the texture is totally different on the trees, it's not all same, right? It's very kind of thick and thin um, mixture of texture on the trees, and the movement of the tree. Okay, so by dabbling that, you know, bringing out the texture effect on the trees, and it's like a light breeze kind of effect. Okay, as you can go and back see my like landscape paintings, how I am bringing out that, you know, some of them, even the water effect, how I'm bringing that out with the paint. Okay, so another thing you have to keep in mind, if you another tool you can use is a palette knife, and I do have palette knife paintings also on this channel. You go back and watch, you can go back and watch those paintings. Okay, so if you use a palette knife to add color to your drawing or your painting, just with the palette knife, by not using any other like brush or anything else, it will look more artisty. It's a beginning, maybe, you know, it's despite the fact that it seems daunting or very advanced look. Okay, like like if you scrape a small amount of paint onto your work surface with the palette knife, right? It's like a buttercream effect. You know, it's like oh my god, I love cakes and sorry, I love sweets. As soon as I start talking about cake, oh my god, all I'm thinking about, oh, pastries. I love pastries. Um, I love sweets, yeah. I'm a sweet girl, what can you say, you know? Yes. So anyway, imagine buttercream on a cake, okay? Oh, you're just smoothing that buttercream on the layers on that cake, right? Um, and how, you know, or we can say, you know, the butter or a jam or something that you're putting on the bread, you know, put that. Just get the picture, guys. Okay. So you develop your own distinct style of art. Okay, so but focus on the detail also when you're working with that. Okay, like if you you can go back and see my figure paintings, you know, where I'm painting people, right? Sometimes it's like detail, like hair or a fur on the animal, or if I'm painting a bear or animals, you know, it's, or I'm painting a feather or peacocks. You can see on my peacock paintings, right? It's a ripple among other, you know, it can be applied with a small fine brush after. You can create that with the palette knife. Okay, so beginners should try to follow the, you know, like steps first, you know, like I'm describing. As I said, hope you're taking notes. If you don't have a pen or pencil, you can always go back, and that's why, you know, I prepare these guides for you guys, that, you know, you can have go back and watch these videos again. If you have any question, you can, see, okay, how Miss Ruby did it, how she painted. Oh yeah, she gave us that tutorial. Maybe that will explain everything. Or you can always, if you have a question, you can send me in the comment, and I would love to. I always try to answer all my questions and my comments, but sometimes I get so many comments on my videos, right? People write a lot of contents, and sometimes if I miss it, I apologize, because sometimes people go back and they write the comment, and I missed that on that previous video. So don't take it personally, guys, because that I didn't answer it, but it's just that so many comments. I get a lot of comments on different videos and questions, and as I said, I try to answer as soon as I can. Another thing you have to keep in mind that you try with the watercolor lower, keep in mind that the acrylic paint, it has a lower stability than the water and the oil paint. Okay, so, and also, like, you can go back and learn the basic like other lessons I have on my channel, and I try to always, every time you guys want to learn something, and if you write that in the comment that this is what you want to learn, that's what I try to come up with the answer, and I try to write the whole detail for you guys. Okay, so you can go back, and these courses, it will actually provide you, and it's a free for you guys. Okay, so go back. It's not charging, because I know in life everything is being charged on people's life, right? I'm providing all this free to you guys, because I know being in life, I haven't received anything free. I always have to pay. So, but this is all free to you guys. You guys can go back anytime. You can use it however you like, guys. Okay, it's all for you. So how this is actually, these teachings, these are everything I'm trying to let you guys know, about art, and then these kind of classes, the mediums I'm now explaining to you guys, the materials I'm explaining it to you guys. It's all to enhance, your art abilities, guys. Okay, you can call me your big sister, Sister Ruby, right? So these techniques for like blending acrylic colors, the combination of colors and mixing with the palette knife, it's, you can, even the beginners can use it. After you mastering all these color mixing, you can, try out other different methods. Okay, so let's talk about what are the techniques for blending all the colors. That combining colors and mixing with the palette knife, it recommend, when you starting, even as a beginner, you make your own color combination, right? In a painting, having a family of colors or tones to work with, it can help you to create subtle variations, right? Because it's for, suppose if you're trying to bring out the subtle skin tone, as you can go back and watch my figure paintings, right? That how I'm bringing out on those figures, how I'm bringing out those color tones on the faces of a woman or figures, right? These various shades of colors of pre-mixing, it's a family of tones prior to painting, it can help you streamline the process of the painting. Okay, so consider actually thinking outside the box, guys. Although there are few tried and true tactics, for the beginners, you can think about, but don't stop there. Compare and contrast these methods and techniques to see which one are more effective for you. Okay, you'll find that your skill will improve the more you practice. These techniques become more sophisticated. Okay, and you can develop your own distinct style of art. Okay. Also, you have to keep in mind that when you're painting, choose like a peaceful spot, guys. Either if you're painting outside somewhere, or if you're painting, in your house or in studio, right? To set up your aisle and your art supply, arrange your aisle as a canvas on it, and then place a rag or a paper towel near the palette, and the brushes and all that is convenient position, right? To make sure you have all the material before you even start painting. Okay, and when you start painting, all that is left for you to do now is to start working on your first acrylic painting. Okay, so if you are still like unsure, start with like couple of shades and work your way up. Start with mid-light tone, right? Then add darker tones for depth, and finish with highlight. To keep in mind that acrylic paint, it dries very quickly. Okay, as a result, you'll be able to finish much of your blending on your palette before moving into canvas. You can, sometime to keep your painting moist, you can spray it with a spray bottle, right? You can paint with the spray, when you're painting, spray bottle, it keep your paint moist, and it will buy a little bit more time for your work, because it dries so quickly. Okay, so to fully master the art form, you must first gain sufficient, that's why I'm putting these tutorials for you guys, these trainings for you guys. It's all free, right? When I'm writing these tutorials, this is all for you. It's all free, guys, right? So in case of like acrylic paint, learn about your medium, learning all these different mediums that I'm teaching you guys. It will allow you to be successfully apply your paint to your painting. Okay, so it to painting, to surface and to blend it with other colors. Okay, so make sure you use a peaceful spot when you start painting. Your supplies are all there, your all your material is there with you guys. Okay, so hope all this helped, guys. We covered it a lot again today. There's a different kind of canvases. You can use a canvas or a what you call that, wood canvas, right? You can also make sure that you can draw. That's what I do. I draw first and then I paint over, right? So, and then all the drawing stuff, what you need to have it, all that, these all factors, it play a big role in to be a successful artist. Okay, guys, thank you so much for your time, and keep learning, keep watching, keep sharing with others this video. I'm bringing all this for you, and I'm trying to teach you as a big sister or as a younger sister, can use according to the age. But hope you'll be a great artist someday, and I'm always here for you guys. Okay, most welcome. Any question, anything you have in mind, send me in the comment section. As I said, I get so many comments and questions. Sometimes if I miss it, I try to answer all there for you guys. Okay, all right, talk to you soon, and then all the best to you and your family. Keep painting, keep drawing, keep learning, keep watching the video, and listen to your sister. Okay, listen. All right, all the best. Take care. Bye. Thank you.